Welcome to Nurse Practitioners Changing Practice. I am so happy that we are able to have Margaret Benz again with us, who is the Missouri State Liaison for the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners, and we've had an exciting election. Just want to mention that Nina is not with us today because she's traveling and doing some site visits at Portland, so we miss you, but we will have her back next week. So welcome, Margaret.
Hi, nice to be back with you guys.
So tell us, we had this election and it has some consequential events that are hopefully going to help NPs in Missouri.
Yes, it was a really good primary for nursing. Missouri Nurses Association had put out 39 endorsements for this primary election, and all but 2 of them won. So
Wow.
It shows that nursing, there's 138,000 nurses in Missouri. 10,000 of those are nurse practitioners, but we are a huge force to be reckoned with, and we have a big voice. And so when they put out these lists, I think it really does make a difference.
Wow, that is a huge amount of people in our state that are nurses, and we are. So tell us the highlights. Give us what happened and tell us the highlights so we know this is the primary. Now elections are going to be coming up. So what do we need to pay attention to? How is it going to benefit us as a nurse or as a nurse practitioner?
Okay, so I'm going to go through Kaina Iman, who is the lobbyist for Missouri Nurses Association. We actually, as nurses, we have 3 lobbyists. We have Missouri Nurses Association has Kaina Iman. Association of Missouri Nurse Practitioners has Derek Leffert, and then NCSBN actually has Kathy. I can't think of Kathy's last name, but they sent a lobbyist too. So there's 3 lobbyists representing nursing in Jefferson City. And Kaina Iman put together a summary that I'm going to pick up some of her highlights because it really recaps it very nicely. So probably the biggest surprise of primary night was the upset of Senator Bill White. And Senator White is from Southern Missouri, and he has been in legislation for quite a while. He chaired the committee that some of our bills were heard on. So he chaired the Seniors, Families, Military, and Veteran Affairs Committee. So he heard several of our bills, like our barrier relief bills and things like that, and didn't let them on committee last time. But Senator White was beginning to work with us a little bit, and we were finding ways that we could work together, and he was willing to listen this time. He lost to a relative newcomer, Jill Carter. And Jill Carter ran on the principles of healthcare choice, citizen rights. She was heavily sponsored by the Right to Life and by Concerned Women. So we're going to need to get to know Jill a little bit and find out, what else, and let her know who nursing and nurse practitioners are. So if anybody's down in that area, then she'll be representing
Need to reach
them.
out to her.
Yeah. And see, because this was the primary, so there'll probably be a Democrat running against her, but we need to know what both of those bring to the table to know who we're going to be working with. And that's the thing with these primaries, and with Missouri having term limits, not everybody does, but with term limits, we're always re-educating. And since there's so many nurses, and there's nurses in every single county, we should have the ability to reach out and educate people about what nurse practitioners can do. But so that's going to be a big shakeup, because they were even looking for Bill White to be the leader of the floor.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's really going to throw
That's
things.
yes.
No one expected that. No one at all. So that was
so the person that wins that is going to be responsible for bringing the bills to the floor, right?
Yes, because there'll be a newcomer in the Senate. There'll be a new to politics if it's Jill. And so, there'll be.
And I think that's been our barrier, hasn't it? That we can't, sometimes we get it through committees and everything, but we can't actually get a vote on the bill.
Back to the floor, because it starts by being heard on the floor and then assigned to committee. And then the committee has to bring it back with a recommendation, and then a vote has to happen. But if the vote happens and it went through different in the House and Senate, then it goes back to committee again. There's 10,000.
They have to reconcile it. So there's a lot of pieces and so we need these, we need representation that understands, and I would say some of our issues in access to care are in the rural areas. So we need those voices as to how nurse practitioners help.
Most of them are in rural care. And so some of our biggest support has been like the Rural Healthcare Association and the Farm Bureau and people like that have been some of our biggest supporters. And some of our, one of the people that we sponsored that easily won was Hannah Kelly. And she brought forward our bills a lot because it affects her constituents so much. And then other ones are just so ingrained in like their party that they don't really pay attention. But I think we have an opportunity with this person, if this this Jill Carter, I think we have an opportunity since she's running on healthcare choice. I think that's somebody we need to make sure she understands and invite her to your
reach
clinic.
out to her, send her a letter. And I want to reemphasize, you've told us over and over again, our voices do matter, our letters do matter, our calls do matter. So please, if you're listening, find out who your representation is in your area and reach out and get to know those people personally by a letter, an email, and if you're in Jefferson City, stop by and shake their hands so they get to know us.
Well, and even get to know them in district, because when they're in district, you can invite them to your practice and let them see, this is what I can do, you know, and do meet them, because frequently they have like coffees, or right now they're all out on the campaign trail. So if they show up at your door, grill them all on all the things that are important to you, or show up at those events that they're going to and really ask them those hard questions and see where they stand when there's a lot of people listening.
Right, well, perfect. So what about other people who won? What else do we have? We have Jill Carter. Okay, she's somebody to get to know.
Yep. And then Eric Burleson was somebody who was a big supporter of ours, actually ran for a federal congressional seat. So in his area, Representative Curtis Trent, who we don't know real well. So we need to get to know him, but that's who won in that area. And usually it is the Republican that moves forward to represent that area. But Senator Burleson sponsored many of our bills. So we need a strong person who's very knowledgeable. Springfield's a big area. It's one of the other big metropolitan areas in Missouri. And so
you got Branson and everything, all that area, Joplin, all that area down there.
Yeah. So we need to get to know that Curtis Trent and, you know, see what his understanding is.
Curtis or Curtis?
It's Curtis, Curtis Trent.
Okay.
And he's a Republican from Greene County.
All right. So and what I'm going to do too is list these names on our little summary. So to say, be sure to get to know these people. And what they stand for. Yeah.
And I sent you, I think, the list of endorsements that Mona put out. And all of those, except for 2, made it through their primaries. So we'll be continuing to support those.
Those people. All right.
The next one I have on here that I think is kind of important. Several senators were termed out. So Jeannie Riddle termed out of the Senate. Jeannie Riddle was the chair of the Committee of Professional Registration. So most of our bills went through her. And many of them struggled to get through her committee because of her. And so she termed out, and the person who won there is Representative Travis Fitzwater. And Travis Fitzwater has been supportive of nursing, but no one we really worked heavily with. So it would be good for people again. And this is like the Jefferson City area itself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it would be good to reach out people that are in that area. He's in Callaway County. So it's good to reach out to get to know him and get to know, let him know how busy and how many nurse practitioners. That's a big area for nurse practitioners because it's got Columbia right down the road.
Yeah, there's a lot of services down there. I know I am in oral health and they have a lot of oral health services for children in Jefferson City that are reasonable too. So
yeah. So we need to make sure he knows what nurse practitioners are and make sure to get him on page, because we think we're going to push for full practice authority this year with the turnover that we have going on here.
Good.
So that's encouraging. Yeah. So the next person up, another term limited person, was Bob Onder from here in St. Charles County. He termed out. He's already finished all the terms he can have in the House and the Senate. So he's totally termed out. And in his place, Nick Schroer, somebody who nursing and even AMNP, who didn't endorse a lot of people in the primaries, but will in the general election. But he was endorsed by all of nursing in the primary. Nick Schroer's wife is a family nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow.
He has sponsored many of our bills in the House, and he is promising us he will sponsor full practice authority without any restrictions on it in the Senate. And
So he
so,
has a close-up seat to what we do in our challenges just by watching and observing what his wife is going through on a daily basis.
yeah, but he has met with so many of us. He has done podcasts for us. He's a really good supporter of nursing. And so we are excited because he beat out John Wyman, who also was a friend of nursing's. But Nick is promising us to take our bills forward. So we're really hoping that he makes it through the general election. He should in that
So
area.
is this
But
Nick or Mick?
it's Nick, Nick.
Okay, got it.
And Schroer is Schroer. And he's
Okay.
always willing to talk to people. He knows very well what we do and what we have the capability of doing. He's very well versed and a very good defender of ours when there's debate going on.
I
So
like
he's a
that.
good one.
Maybe we'll reach out for him and have him come talk to us. That would be so
Should.
cool.
You should reach out to him. I'll send you his information so you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then another person that sadly turned out is Jill Shoop out of St. Louis County in the District 24. Jill was a huge supporter and really good to nursing and always had time to meet with us and always very helpful to us and pushing our message forward. And she, along with the other women of the Senate, have really been pushing literacy and looking out for women's rights with pregnancy and Medicaid, expanding the time that they're covered and all kinds of things. She has put through so much really good legislation, but she turned out. And so now we're really supporting Tracy McCreary. And she was the representative from that area, also very supportive, has worked very closely with Jill. So we're really supporting, and she needs help. Like if you live in the St. Louis area in her district, which is around like Creve Coeur, West County kind of area, she always can use like feet on the ground kind of people that can do grassroots for her. But she will be running in the Republican. She was unopposed in the primary. In the Republican side, the person who won is Dr. George Ruza. He is a dermatologist who used to be the president of the St. Louis Medical Association. And he is, I think, an SSM physician. And he's a fine person, but we really would like somebody more nurse neutral to be there. So we're really supporting Tracy, and she really could use support.
Well, we'll get the word out. We'll get the word out that Tracy needs some support, and she's got she's friendly to our causes.
Yep. And she's very familiar with nurse practitioners and nursing in general. She's a really great person. And then the last person that turned out is term limited was Dave Schatz. And Dave Schatz has a daughter, I think, that's a nurse practitioner. He was the leader of the floor in the Senate, and he termed out. And so the person who won is kind of a new person. It's a business owner from St. Louis named Ben Brown. So he is somebody we totally need to get to know because he ran against Representative Nate Tate, who we knew well. We didn't endorse anybody in that race. But Ben Brown is somebody who I'm not sure knows much about nursing and nurse practitioners, and he'll be running in that position. So we probably really need to get to know him a little bit. And then incumbents that stayed in from across the state are Cindy O'Laughlin, a good supporter of nursing, Mike Bernstetter, Lincoln Huff, Tony Luchtenmeyer, he's very supportive, Carla May from North St. Louis, who's very supportive of nursing, Mike Serpiet, very supportive, Brian Williams from the Clayton area, who's very, very supportive of nursing. He's a really good person. Sandy Crawford, they all won their respective primaries and probably will be heading back. So if any of those are yours, congratulate them, or you might want to wait till the general election, but congratulate them and then make contact with them and say, you know, I'm a nurse practitioner, I'm a nurse and I live in your area. If you have any questions about the legislation, here's what we're planning for this year. And so I would reach out to them and let them know and congratulate them after, you know, even if you want to wait till general elections and congratulate all of them and just introduce yourself in an email. That's a nice thing to do too.
Perfect.
And then in the House, let's see, I don't know if there's anybody really exciting to tell you about in the House. There's nothing really special that was a surprise in the House, I don't think. So I'm going to tell you about those big federal congressional seats. So surprisingly, he wasn't supposed to win. He's the person we backed, but Senator Eric Burleson won the Congressional District 7 seat. He's out of Springfield. He's a big supporter of nursing. We need him. We needed him in Jeff City, but we need him in DC too. So he most likely will be heading to Washington, DC in January.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that's Senator Eric Burleson. So if you're in that district, which would be Springfield, Branson, that district down there, that's who would be the person we would encourage you to vote for. It will be filling Billy Long's seat. Billy ran for that Senate seat, and so he could not also run for his Congress seat. So Eric Burleson will most likely be filling that, and that's a great thing for nursing to be sending him forward. And then in the state, let's see, who's this one? Oh, Vicky Hartzler, I think will maintain her seat. She lost in that Senate race, but she has time left, I think, so she'll be returning, I think, representing her district. And then Cori Bush, a nurse, won in her primary, beating out Senator Stephen Roberts. He was relatively new to the Senate, and so he'll be returning to the Senate. He still has 2 years left on his elected position that he's in. He actually is very supportive of nursing. I don't know if you guys know, his family donated a clinic, a free clinic in North St. Louis that is staffed by St. Louis U, all the services to provide free care up there. But his family donated that Victor Roberts building, and part of it that now is the other part of it's the Urban League. But he's very supportive of nursing, always willing to meet with people. But he will be returning to the Senate. Cori Bush will most likely be returning to DC. She'll have to go through the general elections, but she won very big up there. And then let's see, the big one was the Senate race, and Eric Schmidt won from the Republican side, and then Trudy Bush Valentine, who I'm really glad to say I know very well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a good one.
She is a nurse who has been an active nurse and active member of Mona for, gosh, like 30 something years, long time. She's very active in nursing still. She even came with us when we were vaccinating. One day we were talking and she overheard us say that we were short on people to vaccinate. The next day she showed up, and she's gone to some of those hole in the walls with us and vaccinated and done spit testing and everything else. But Trudy is truly what you see. She's very genuine, very honest, very hardworking, and very much a nurse at heart. So she's, we hope that she moves forward, but we'll have to wait and see. She's got two people, Eric Schmidt in the Republican, and then John Wood from the Independent that she'll be running against. And since she's relatively new to politics, she's learning the ropes and
trying to figure out how she can best work it, make sure message out.
Yeah, but she's staying very positive. Even when people say negative things, she stays very positive and says, this is what I can do, and here's what I stand for. And she's very reachable. I'll tell you, when I've seen her, she treats people who are like owners of businesses, and as well as the parking attendants and the people working in the yard. Everybody's the same, very respectful, very humble, very honest, and very kind to everyone. So she's a really good person. So we're hoping that we will have the first nurse ever in the Senate.
Would that be something? And
then we would have two nurses, a nurse in the Senate and a nurse in the Congress up there. So that would be really exciting.
So our
Trudy needs help
starting.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, I think these are all really great people you've talked about too, and they have great quality. So what can we do? What are the people listening? What can the people listening do? How can we educate ourselves on these options? Obviously, I'm going to try to post a list of people so that they can, and we also have a website, so I'll post it on everywhere I can post it. I'm going to post it to where, we can get the names of the people we want to support and what they stand for out.
Great. That's great. Well, so some of the things other than knowing who we support, because nursing sends out all kinds of like surveys and questionnaires, And they look at those, and that's how they decide who to endorse. Now, federal candidates, we really can't endorse other than paper endorsements. So there's no money involved in that. It's just people we truly believe in. But the statewide ones, those are people that if you donate to the PAC, then that money's divvied up and given. And so it looks like it's coming from somebody with teeth and not just an individual here or there. So people can donate to the PAC, but the bigger thing, and I think to do, is to get that grassroots involvement. Find out who the people in your area are and really get to know them. Show up where they are meeting people. Like I think the day after the election, Trudy showed up at Chris's Pancake House and just met everybody waiting in line and going in the place. So if you see them somewhere, or you know they're going to be somewhere, go and see who they are and see if their mission and their what they stand for aligns with you, and ask them those hard questions, or call their office and volunteer. I can put up signs, or I can make phone calls or text calls, or I can put things on doorknobs or help with mailings, so that all of them will need that too. So get to know them, and then you can volunteer with them, or you can just letter write for them, or you can just get the word out by talking to your friends or posting things on your page. If you really believe in them, that's always a good thing to do. So grassroots are always really important. And that's something and that getting to know them now, then when they get in office, they think, I know that person. She was there.
I heard that person's story. Yeah.
Yeah. And they helped me. I know where they're coming from. Yeah.
I remember when I was practicing in rural Missouri, and they would always ask me for the stories, the people that were applying for grants and things to help the people in the community. So that's another thing that nurse practitioners bring to the table. We need your stories of how are you helping? What is the difference you're making? In the areas that you're seeing, where is the need? And we need it from you. I love how you're talking about the grassroots, because I think in today's technology world, we find ourselves glued to Facebook, or we find ourselves glued to news that are opinion journalists that aren't necessarily giving us news. They're giving us their opinions, and we need to get back to grassroots. Find out, talk to people face to face, show up where they are, find out what they really do stand for, and get involved. And
because they're supposed to be representing you. And so they need to know you to be able to do that. They need to know what you stand for to be able to do that. And you're right about those stories. When we testify, there's all kinds of people that can say data and things like that. The organizations can do that, or lobbyists can do that. But what those people cannot do is say, here's what it looks like in real life. You put this law together, even like the workplace violence law. They put that law together, and we're one of the first states to have a workplace violence for first providers and things like that in place. But it doesn't have teeth. So we need people to testify and say, here's what it looks like, and here's where it falls short. So this is what we still need. Or here's my patient that didn't have any other care, and I was able to provide that care because I was in that area and had that 75 miles.
Absolutely.
But if I could have gone farther, I could have, during COVID, we didn't have limits. And so I could see this many more people where there was no provider.
Absolutely.
Like
I mean, in my own practice, I can honestly say that there were times that people came to the clinic that just because we were there, they wouldn't have sought care otherwise. And we were able to catch so many things, and in some cases eliminate cancer, eliminate, or bring somebody under control that was heading for strokes. I mean, I have so many stories in my library of patient files, in my head, that I could tell stories all day long. And I know I'm not alone, because when we all get together and we start talking, we get these stories, and that's what we need. We need these stories that make legislation real.
Yes, that's exactly what it does. It makes it real. It lets them see what those crazy legalese words that they put in actually translate to. And so, with your stories, you should write them to your legislator, but you should also send them to Mona or AMNP, because they collect those stories too. And if you can't go and testify, because you find out 24 hours before it's time to testify. So not everybody can get down there, because not everybody can get off, because we all work and see patients. But you can write submission testimony and send your stories in, and it would be included in the testimony on the topic. So it's
like
good
that.
to do that.
I like
Yeah.
that. So that's another thing I'm going to ask you is give me links, give me things I
Okay.
can do, and I'm going to put them everywhere I can. And I'm going to tell you, Margaret, what we're going to do in this election cycle is try to reach some of these people, see if they would
Yes.
be willing to talk about nursing and what they bring to the table and what they represent, and do what we can to help with the grassroots movement, because
Yeah.
nurses and nurse practitioners change practice. Nurses, nurses, you bring so much to the table. You know, you
Yes.
really do. You bring a tremendous amount. We're nurses first. And then
Right.
when we become nurse practitioners, we bring all that wonderful teaching and patient relationship with us, and all the things that we've done for years and years and years, and we practice in a different model.
Right. Right. And we all need to be supporting each other. You know, because there's some legislation that's more for nurse practitioners and some that's more for staff nurses and
Staff
nurses that
nurses,
are
ratios.
frontline. Yeah,
You know,
ratio staffing.
I
Mhm.
watch those nurses every day and what they do. Primarily, I'm in the hospital now when I work, but they do marvelous things, and they
Oh
have
my gosh.
stories too. You know, they are the hands and feet that actually make the people well. We write orders and say, do this and do that. But
Absolutely.
I literally, even just this last week, witnessed a nurse who literally, in my mind, probably was an angel to the patient,
Wow.
and
That's
literally saved her life and kept her going. And they
wow.
don't realize nurses are just as important, and we are all changing practice.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Well, Margaret, I just love having you. I really do. Your podcasts are one of the most watched and the most viewed, and so we love having you. And I want you to send me all the information that you can about who we need to support and how we need to. Then I'm going to do the legwork of how do we contact these people and get that list out there. And I myself am going to reach out to as many as I can to see who we can have on the show.
Great. That's wonderful.
All right. Thank you. You keep doing what you do, which is changing practice all the time.
All righty. Thanks.
We'll see you all next week. You guys have a great week. Bye.
Bye.